Welcome back to Dice to Pixels. We're here with another episode, and the three of us are going to have a party while we talk about Starfield. Are you two partying yet?
I hear everything.
Space party.
Yes, you may notice we have headphones now.
Yes.
We're trying it out. We'll see how it goes, and we can hear each other, but we can't hear you because you're imaginary. You
Or
don't
are
exist.
Well, some of you are.
Talk louder. If you yell at the screen, we can hear you.
If you yell loud enough, we will hear you
Yeah.
in the future.
Or the past.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time's circular.
Starfield's big.
Yeah.
People are. This is weird to me. People are like freaking out about it being 129 gigabytes.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 was 126. So
Yeah,
and most COD games are well over like 100 gigs now.
well, I was gonna say like even the normal sized games, like not the big boy games, but like the normal ones are like 60, 70. It's like
Yeah.
that's not. It's not that much bigger.
Mhm.
No.
What's the problem?
No.
I guess people are worried that it's gonna take too long to download, but I'm like, meh. It's whatever. Get better internet.
Well, yeah, I mean, in this day and age, like, I mean, really good internet. Us, for example, we just got gigabyte fiber internet, and we're only paying like $67 a month right now.
Yeah, like I understand it's annoying for people who can't get high speed internet, like properly high speed internet. But I mean, we're a digital society. The difference between a 70 gigabyte game if you've got crappy internet and a 120 gigabyte game if you've got I'm sorry, it's just not that big a deal. I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I've seen like 8 articles about it. Oh, it's so big. Like, whoa.
I just, because the next biggest game I could think of, obviously, is Skyrim. So I just looked that up. Apparently, Steam only requires you to have 12 gigs free.
That doesn't shock me.
I was expecting a little bit bigger.
Well, so Skyrim.
Also, it's old.
Yeah, there you go. See, Skyrim's big, like
Mhm.
it's expansive, but the texture resolution on Skyrim versus like Starfield, I mean that's why it's got so many mods that
yeah.
increase the textures.
Yep.
You start adding all the realism mods, and
Yep.
yeah, now you're talking like 500 gigs.
Yeah. Well, and this is going to be something that's going to be, you know, it's going to be the norm going forward. Like you're going to see more and more of these big AAA games are going to be huge,
Yeah.
you know. And if anything, it's the storage on the consoles. Like, well, if you're playing on console or, you know, depending on your hard drive size that you have on your home PC, like that's going to be your issue is your storage size that you have available to you. So,
Well, unless you're kind of like we are, once you're done with the game, you actually delete it.
I delete nothing.
Yes, you do.
That's a lie.
That's an absolute lie.
I think.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so for reference, for a gigabit connection, an actual gigabit connection, I'm expecting this to take about 15 minutes to download. Something in that neck of the woods. So this is fine, right? Xbox servers, Microsoft servers are very fast. Sony servers are very fast. So for anyone with fast internet, this is not a problem. However, there's an argument that some of this stuff should just be done streaming almost. Like for instance, Baldur's Gate 3, and personally, I think they should just take all of the cutscenes and just delete them. But if you're gonna do them, why not stream them?
Yeah.
They're just video. They're not actually gameplay. They have no bearing on the actual game. They're completely fucking irrelevant. So just stream them.
I'm just trying to think. So before I met Chad, I lived just outside of town. So I couldn't get actual high-speed internet.
Sure.
And I couldn't afford to get like any sort of satellite internet or anything like that. So if I wanted to download any sort of game, I would literally go into a Tim Hortons and spend like 2 hours there stealing their internet to download games.
Yeah.
And then go home again. So I'm just like, well, how would I have dealt with that now if I was still in that situation?
You just miss all of the cutscenes and have a way better gaming
Well, there's
experience.
that.
Obviously it needs to be an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But like give me the option to download a 30 gig game and stream the stupid shit.
Yeah.
And then if I have fast internet, and don't mind, then yeah, give me the whole 120 gig. I would download it because there's no point in streaming it.
Yeah.
I don't mind deleting the game from my system and then installing it again next week if I want to play it again. Not a problem. But for people that want to have all of those games on their device, because it takes an hour to download or more,
Yeah.
give them smaller options, right? Like it's I understand why they don't do it historically, because it's easier to just whack everything together and throw it on the console. But it seems weird to me that nobody's even trying this.
What about LA Noire? It was on 2 or 3 discs. I can't remember which.
I feel like it was 3.
Yeah. Is there any way, I wonder with games now, if there's any way like you could download a portion of the file, play the game to that point, and then it warn you like a while before saying, hey, you're coming to the end of this chunk of game. You need to download more game.
Oh, they certainly could. There's nothing stopping them from that. There are also a couple of games, I think I've only seen this on PC, but like I feel like World of Warcraft even does this, where it's here we're playable.
Yep.
But we're still downloading videos.
Yes.
We're still downloading higher resolution textures. We're still like playable. You can get into the game. Now, mind you, Blizzard also lies through their fucking teeth on that, because I've had games that said they were playable and all they really meant was the opening credit scene is done. And it's like, eat shit. But like that sort of thing, like give me a low quality texture pack that can be replaced by downloading the high, like these are things that we are a digital society now, and most people have access to high quality internet that can stream like 1080p or 4K video. I mean, Netflix exists for a reason.
Yes.
So cater to that and then offer alternatives for the people that don't have it. That's sort of where I come from with this. It's a little weird to me. Now, I can also go the other way and say like, no, just give me the full fucking game on a disc, because the last thing I want to depend on is your online goddamn services.
I was going to bring that up too. Like I was just going to say it would be so nice if we could still get some discs.
Right. And I think that's the thing where it's like, we've already sort of moved away from discs. So since we've already done that, since that's sort of already a lost battle.
Yeah.
Then why not just keep going?
Yeah.
Like you already don't get these things on discs. You already can't buy some things on disc. So that ship sailed. Let's just lean into it.
There's a whole other discussion we can have about media no longer being physical.
We should chat about it for sure. Yeah. We'll cover a couple other things and maybe we'll circle back to it.
And for the record, LA Noire was had 3 discs for the 360, and it was only on 1 for the PS3.
Because it was Blu-ray.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
I played it on 360, obviously.
There's a reason you don't buy HD DVDs.
Yeah.
I mean, not that anybody buys Blu-rays anymore anyway.
Some people do.
Some people do. Actually, so well, you know what? We're going to get into it right now.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I remember having the argument around iTunes with Blu-rays versus like digital downloads. Not talking about streaming in this case, just talking about like buying it from iTunes, iMovie now or whatever. But and people would always say like, well, you know, they might remove it from the catalog and blah, 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 or iTunes might fail or whatever. I'm like, well, iTunes isn't likely to go anywhere anytime soon, but like, okay. And then when they did the free upgrade to 4K, because if you had bought a movie on iTunes in HD, when they moved to 4K, you got it for free. It was one of those like, well, all of you fucking idiots who were buying DVDs were wrong.
Yeah.
And then honestly, there's some things where like they've subtly, but they've gone back and like changed videos. I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but like there are things that South Park they haven't changed anything, but like South Park, if you buy a season of South Park on iTunes, it just won't include some of the episodes. Only a couple of them. Like there's the Muhammad episode.
Oh,
yeah. And then you were also saying a week or two ago, Community, yeah.
I haven't tried on iTunes. I think we actually do have. I don't know, but definitely on streaming services they don't include the second D&D episode. I'm not sure if you buy it digitally, like if you buy the season, I'm not sure if it comes, but there are episodes like that they like scrub out. And it's like, whatever, you've got your reasons and everything. I don't personally, I'm not on board with censorship in general, but
Yeah.
like, whatever, fine, whether you agree with it or not. But if you bought it on disc, you don't have that problem. Which is why we own South Park on disc, because I mean,
Yeah, same.
Yep.
if we feel the need to censor an episode, we'll make that choice for ourselves.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you.
But even on the DVD sets, I think it was because the Super Best Friends one, they had like their own image of Muhammad in that
Yes.
one, but then it was the one, oh, I can't remember it now, but they basically censored it out, and
Yeah.
it went to like a black screen and whatever. And I think Trey and Matt had talked about it in their little mini commentaries.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pre-episode commentary.
Yeah, just the bullshit that they were getting hounded with about it from the network and all that stuff. So,
Yeah, they caught a lot of shit, and to be fair, they knew going in they were going to catch shit. They did
Mhm.
that specifically to be inflammatory and everything else. And you know, I'm not here to tell people what they should have done. But if I buy a fucking season of a show, I'm expecting to get the whole fucking season of the show.
I think if you're willing to spend the money, you know the product that you're going to get, you know what to expect with it, so you can take care of yourself if you want to censor something.
And to probably worse than that is not even omitting it, but like there's no evidence that they did it, right? Like if you buy that season, they don't say like, hey, we redacted episode 11. They just don't mention it.
mhm.
So to that point, I can understand why there are lots of people that are still very hesitant to get into like digital downloads and everything else, because they're like, well, you know, sure, I've got Mass Effect as a digital download, but you know, how long until something is decided that it's offensive and needs to be scrubbed, and then they like change the game? Now, fortunately, game studios are too busy to go back and change anything anyways. So
But they are right now with all the remakes.
well,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
that's a separate problem. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure some of the remakes are going to omit certain things as
Oh, yeah.
well.
Yep,
But
yep.
But
so
like one of my thoughts too, even, and it was brought up actually with another podcast I listened to called Still Buffering, where it's three siblings that just there's a huge gap between the
Mhm.
two oldest and the youngest, and so they bring media just to show each other different things that they grew up with. And one of the siblings brought in Airheads, and so
Mhm.
when they brought that, they all had to search everywhere to find that because none of them had the physical copy of it. It's not on any streaming services. You can't buy it on iTunes or anything like that. You have to find, there is a single YouTube video with the speed altered ever so slightly so they don't get caught. But that's the only digital version of
Yeah.
that you can find anywhere. So
well, now that you've said it on the world's biggest podcast, it's going to get taken down.
oh
Mm.
no.
I actually had this problem with a horror movie that Danielle wants to watch. Horror, by the way, YouTube.
It probably won't like that either because it didn't like the gravestone
Oh my
thumbnail.
God. Okay, so if you're wondering why our views have dropped off a cliff, don't worry. This isn't some nefarious thing happening. I was running advertising on our videos to get them out to more people, and I'm probably gonna still do that from time to time. But so I stopped doing that, and that's why the views have gone off a cliff. Don't worry, we're not like getting bummed out about it. We're all good. Anyways, one of the ads, the thumbnail had the gravestone in it. It was the E3 is dead.
Yeah.
And it had a cartoon fucking gravestone on it, and they blocked it for shocking content.
Didn't that happen with the Diablo episode too?
Diablo 2. Yeah, literally just the Diablo, like the Lilith, the picture of Lilith is like shocking content. It's like, fuck you, YouTube.
I may wear sinner hats, but you know, we're not bloodthirsty.
Right? I was so pissed. Like the Lilith thing, I'm like, okay, you know, not really okay, but like at least it's like a ghoulish image and everything. But the gravestone, I'm like, it's a cartoon fucking gravestone with E3, not even a person's name on it.
And like
Anyways,
God forbid they'd be like in tune with what's going on around them, like Diablo
Oh,
4 and like the Lilith iconic,
Mhm.
yeah.
her
There
image
were-
and stuff just being all a part of the advertisement for the game and stuff. And it's
there was another ad that I tried to run very early on. I tried to just use the like episode title as the ad, which
Yeah.
was Sony bails out on E3 or something. It was another E3 one. And they were like, you can't use Sony because it's trademark. I'm like, I know it's a fucking trademark. It's news. I'm allowed to use the fucking trademark in news, you jackass.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
advertising Sony. I'm advertising our content. Anyways,
Yeah.
I hate YouTube. I hate everything about the advertising. I actually love YouTube. I use YouTube all the time, but the advertising stuff on YouTube is obnoxious.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what I was saying about the horror film was it's gone. Like, there's one you can get a collector's. I think it's called The Entity, and my understanding is that it's have to be careful how I phrase this because this will get a strike on the channel. So there is a ghost that
Does questionable things.
yeah, it starts with an R. So anyways, so it's been sort of removed because of that. I guess A, because it didn't sell that well in the first place, and then B, because of this scene. And so nobody sells it. Like, you can't stream it anywhere. Nobody's really selling it, but you can get a collector's DVD or Blu-ray from Amazon. It's like the only thing worldwide that I can find. So Danielle's like, but it's like $35. Is it worth it? And I'm like, well, if it's not, you're not watching it, because like it does not fucking exist anywhere else. So yeah, things like that. Like, I get it. I get why people still want discs, but at the same time, I'm like, even given the choice, even knowing that things can get, pulled and censored and otherwise, it's just so fucking convenient to download.
It really is.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last physical game I got was probably Elden Ring.
Yeah.
I bought Elden Ring was probably the last one that I bought. But like most everything else that actually, no, that's not true. I did buy a couple NES cartridges from my buddy Jim, Batman and Blades of Steel.
Wow, yeah, you're gonna be hard pressed to get original NES downloads.
Yeah, but yeah, for the most part, downloading this stuff, I do it all the time.
Mhm.
Like, it's just, again, convenient. I don't have to wait. I don't have to put on pants.
I can decide at 7 p.m. that I want to play a game, and at
Yeah.
7:10 I can be playing it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
There's a reason it won, but I understand the other side of that argument.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're wrong. I think they're wrong.
Yeah.
So, my thing would be, I have no problem buying physical media for, and I've talked about this before with spending money on musicians and artists and their albums and stuff. I have no problem doing that. I will gladly give any developer my money, or artist or musician or whatever. I have no problem with that. And the same goes for like physical media, right? So I'm a huge Seven Dust fan musically.
Mhm.
I buy every album they have. I'll always get like the physical copy of it, but then I always have like a digital copy.
Yeah.
Because like if I get the digital copy, I'm gonna get that right away. But when I pre-order it through them.
Yeah.
So there's always a bit of a delay in getting, the physical media. But
Yeah.
the same video games, if I was quick enough to buy a physical copy of The Messenger, I probably would have.
Sure.
But like Elden Ring was one of those games where I was like, okay, yeah, I need to get a physical copy of this game because it's just that freaking good to me anyway.
Yeah, I mean, music has been a no-brainer for me forever, just because it's one of those, like, if I buy it on iTunes, which for the record, I don't buy anything on iTunes. I have the streaming or the family pack, whatever. You just
Apple
get
Music.
all of it.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
Apple
yeah.
Music. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
I have it on my iPhone. I have it on my laptops. I had it's everywhere, right? Like, games to some extent, the same thing. Like, I have both Xboxes. I have the X and the S, and it would be obnoxious to have to like swap discs back and
Mhm.
forth.
Mhm.
I mean, there's a reason that digital won.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Convenience, yes.
But
I think it will be just interesting in the future to see what might disappear.
Yeah. what I would love, because it would satisfy both versions of this. What I would love is for studios to offer versioned downloads. So like, especially for speedrunners and stuff, this is actually kind of important, where it's like, okay, cool, like this was what we released on day one. We patched some shit later on, but if you think that ruined the game, feel free to go back and download the original. They don't do that for a number of reasons, some of which are legitimate, some of which are stupid. But whatever. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
That would fix the problem.
Yeah, it's very WoW classic.
Yeah. Well, and like there are also situations where it's like, well, there was a security flaw in the game that could like cause your like computer to get taken over by somebody. That's a problem. We don't offer that, but a lot of it is just stuff like, well, we don't want to host multiple images.
Yeah.
It's more overhead, right?
There was one game released back in 2003. It was called Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand. It was a Game Boy Advance game, but it had a solar panel on it, and in the game you had this solar gun, which was like basically a sun gun. And they wanted you to play the game in direct sunlight, so that would that's how you collected power for the gun.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like something like that. It's like, well, I mean, it's kind of hard to translate that digitally, but
you'd struggle to do that one digitally, until we have nanobots, anyways.
Yeah,
it could work as a mobile game.
Any new thing with a camera, you're fine.
Yeah, because you get the light adjustment with iPhones. So,
yeah, you could totally do it with an iPhone or something like, which is why iPhone is going to be the game console of the future.
It pretty much is already.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you were saying just a minute ago, mobile game sales are up to what?
As of 2020, it was $77.2 billion.
Yeah. Not small and growing. It's the fastest growing part of the gaming market and has been for a long time. Although board games are apparently starting to take off again because of COVID.
Yeah, I could totally understand that.
Yeah, the puzzle industry had a fucking heyday during the lockdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did well for themselves. And now, like, there are still some people that are doing it, but it's like, there you saw this, like, lag where it was like, everybody's like, I'm going to kickstart a puzzle. And then, like, they were too late getting to market. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe we'll still get it. But you kind of missed that.
I mean, I'd be getting a lot of puzzles. I'd still have them going, but we just don't have the table space for it. So.
I like puzzles.
Nice.
Yeah, that's one thing that when I rebuild our dining table and put in the vault, I would be willing to bet that like 50% of the time, like I'm actually going to build it so that it has a double bottom, which really just means I'm going to make a second layer that's the same size, so you can have a puzzle and then you can put like the game service on top, because I like puzzles, and having one that's just hidden away like that would be very convenient. So
True. Yeah, we talked about the Apple Arcade, and even like that, so I've been playing Retro Bowl Plus from Apple Arcade. It's just it reminds me of like an old Tecmo Bowl NES kind of style football game, but I've been like just digging it. But even just looking at the games in there, we had that fishing game
which I still play from time to time.
And that one's psychedelic fishing or
ridiculous
fishing. Yeah.
But actually, going back to the sorry, what was the name of it? It was Retro Bowl
Plus. Yeah.
It, from what you described, it's basically like NFL Manager meets Tecmo Bowl.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
You still control. You only play the offense for your team. They don't show any of the defense. But I've been digging it. It's been really cool. Like just the things between games where this player, the team was out past curfew, and this player was the ringleader behind it all, and then to give you option of like finding the player and he loses morale, or ignoring it and then the entire team loses morale, or you lose fans or something like that. Or there's always like give take kind of stuff, and I really dug it. Even the front office stuff, because this is basically how I built my like super team now. I had a kicker And I don't understand why this one team decided to give me a first round pick for my kicker,
Oh,
who wasn't that great, but they gave me a first round kick for it, and with a pick for it. But with that pick, I ended up getting my 5-star quarterback.
that team was the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, if it was hockey, yes.
I used to rage. Not that I ever cared a lot about hockey, but I used to rage every time the trading stuff was going on. The Leafs were like, "We're going to give away our first round picks for this player." And it's like, why don't you try drafting someone, you fucking idiots?
Yep.
I'm gonna start playing Stardew Valley because it's on Apple Arcade now.
Yeah. I did have it on there, but then I'm like, I don't want to restart my farm again and learn a whole new control scheme. So
yeah, I have Stardew on the PC.
That makes sense.
Through Steam, but I only played it for 20 minutes or so.
Mhm.
Like I like it. It's just I had a bunch of other similar games at the time.
We'll all start a game together and have the Four Corners farm.
I was gonna say you can do multiplayer, right?
Yep.
We talked about that previous.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to do that for
Yep.
sure.
There was another one that you were talking about that we should all play too, and I can't remember if it came out on Game Pass or fuck. I can't remember now. It's gonna bug me.
I do want to try the Baldur's Gate multiplayer at some point. That looks actually weird. There's
I haven't-
multiplayer. I didn't realize that there was multiplayer.
Oh, in 3.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it actually would be more like a D&D campaign at that point. I think Adrian is slightly more interested now.
That definitely moves the needle. Like I could be convinced to deal with cutscenes if there's awesome multiplayer.
Yeah.
I'll look into that more. I
Yeah.
did not know that there was multiplayer.
One thing I have to find out, because I honestly just don't know the answer, is whether or not buying one copy of a game can be played on 2 different devices.
That's always the question. Yeah. Because if you got to buy like 4 full copies, that's never mind. We'll do it when it's cheap.
But... Yeah, exactly. Like Stardew Valley, not a big deal. It's always going on sale and it's cheap to begin with.
Yeah.
But like.
Yeah. Well, and depending on things, it's free right now at least on iPhone. I don't know.
That one doesn't have multiplayer.
I was gonna say, I assume it doesn't, but
no,
yeah,
I checked already.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I've been. To be fair, Danielle and I are basically getting Apple Arcade for free at the moment. I think it's costing us 40 cents a month, basically.
Holy shit.
It's because we already had most of the stuff, and then we upgraded to the Apple One, which gives you arcade as well. So it's like, I think 40 cents a month for the arcade. But it's cool. I mean, I don't know that I'd pay whatever they actually want a month for it. But I might. Like, there are some cool games.
There is, yep. There's a lot of games on there that I've noticed. Like, I went through and I downloaded a whole bunch, and then I was looking at them and afterwards, and then I had gone through my wish list shortly thereafter on Steam, and I'm like, oh, this is on Apple Arcade.
There's a
too.
bunch, yeah, like for the sort of smaller, I don't want to call them throwaway games, but they're casual games.
Yes.
There's a bunch of them on arcade, and it works well.
Yep.
Netflix is trying to make a bigger play for gaming. We'll see if that works.
Yeah.
Did you see that Vampire Survivors has co-op on the Switch?
No.
Yeah.
That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, that's for that kind of game. Yeah,
that defeats the purpose of the game.
Yep.
I kind of want to try it just because that doesn't make any fucking sense.
Right?
I don't know if the co-op mode is strictly for just the Switch or if it's going to be available for the PC. They don't really this article doesn't specify, but
that is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious because it's cheap. Maybe I'll get it for the Switch and we can try it. I don't know.
I would, but I kind of left my Switch in the capable hands of my niece up north because she really wanted to play the story mode in Mario Golf.
Well, we also have the other one still.
You fucking criminal.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I understand wanting to play Mario Golf. That's totally reasonable.
Oh, it's fantastic. Great game.
Yeah, no, that's weird. I'll at least have to check out some videos or something because Vampire Survivors, the whole point is you're a single player in surviving. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense.
Also, its own. Oh no, it's local or multiplayer. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, very strange. Yeah, multiplayer. Each person controls one Joy-Con. Which, by the way,
and you just
we were talking about this. I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but you saw the stream where people were playing Mario and each person had.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna. So basically, this was, and I've seen it before as well. But one person can move, one person can jump, one person can whatever. We're gonna have to do a stream of that at some point because it's fun.
It's gonna go poorly.
Oh, of course. Well, that's the whole. I mean, if it went well, it wouldn't be fun, right? But
We'll just
yeah,
have to keep the squirrels away so you don't get distracted.
I don't get distracted.
Yes, you do.
No.
I've never known any of us to get distracted. Yeah. So the other thing,
you
that
can
I
use
was,
it. Oh, sorry.
The other thing that I was thinking of was I don't remember what all was on our list, but there's the GenCon thing.
Yes, that was also on the list.
Which is, it's funny because of how they're maybe getting caught. So go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, just explain from the beginning because I hadn't heard of it.
So at GenCon, there was a magic card heist, which at first I was like, come on now. But
Heist,
apparently it
quote,
was like
unquote.
$250,000 worth of cards. So I'm like, okay, heist, yeah, that's reasonable. False precision, but I think it was like something like $262,000 and like $300 and change. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So they have suspects. I don't think they've actually arrested anyone.
They have names.
Yeah. Basically there were photos of these two pushing around a pallet of magic cards.
Yep.
And they weren't there selling magic cards, so this is pretty suspect. They recognized them because they were wearing their own fucking merch. They were vendors at GenCon and they wore their own fucking shirts.
Like you can literally, so they're the guys that successfully kickstarted Castle Assault.
Yeah.
And you can literally see on the back of the one fella's shirt Castle Assault, like the logo and everything. Like it's plain as day.
Come on, you're gonna steal a whole bunch. Obviously, a crime of opportunity and everything else, but
opportunity / idiocy.
Definitely idiocy. But it's like, what the fuck were you thinking? You're wearing your own brand fucking merchandise. Why are you? Ugh. It's amusing. Not that they stole the cards, obviously. Although, fortunately, it looks like it was probably sealed product. I mean, fortunately being a relative term here.
Did they not know that the One Ring was found in Canada?
Apparently that dude posted some information about how he plans to I guess he's decided to sell it, and he's posted plans for how he's going to spend his money. I didn't look at it except to note that he's not like, I'm going to buy hookers and blow, and I'm going to buy sensible stuff and
what
invest.
A waste.
Yeah, right? Like, come on, $2 million will get you some decent hookers and blow.
And where is the Taco Bell in that?
Oh, there's probably Taco Bell.
I mean, I would be setting aside a budget for that.
There was once upon a time that I would have said, yeah, but that'll only take like 50 cents of it. But these days, fucking even Taco Bell's expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes.
Yeah, caught, but presumably, I mean, to be clear, innocent till proven guilty. But I mean, these guys are pretty fucking guilty.
they're on camera,
and that's pretty clearly a bunch of stolen magic cards. It's the one thing. Like I said, it does look, just looking very briefly at the image, it looked like it was probably a bunch of sealed product. So it's probably not like high value singles. It's probably older card sets that they've stolen, which
sold to the right people can still.
It's still not good, and it's still valuable and everything else, but at least it's not like they stole some poor bastard's Black Lotus or something. I guess that makes it better. That seems like it makes it a little better to me. It always sucks to lose anything like that. Hopefully they'll manage to recover them unopened.
Also, isn't that what insurance is for?
Yes, so absolutely they will have some level of insurance and they will get the money for it. But with something like magic cards, it's especially older magic cards. It's like, okay, let's say somebody steals my Black Lotus. Great, you're going to give me money to replace it.
Yeah.
But it's not replaceable.
No.
I think
they're
not making more of them.
No. I don't mean it in that way. I meant
they won't be out the money.
Yeah.
And given that it's a store,
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
more.
I agree, and that's why I feel like sealed product makes it a little bit better. Where it's like, it's a store, they intended to sell these. For them, they were a profit mechanism, and they were sealed product. So it's kind of like
It's
getting the money
shitty,
back
but yeah.
feels like it
Yeah.
pretty much sort of evens things out.
I'm a little bit surprised that articles haven't mentioned the name of the store that it was stolen from, though.
I think I saw one somewhere,
Yeah.
but I don't. I'm not going to even try to repeat it because I'm probably wrong. I probably remember incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, having been at GenCon, I can guess which booth it was. there's a booth that has a shit ton of Magic cards there. Weirdly, eBay was there with a lot of Magic cards the one year, which
Huh.
it was a little weird.
It makes sense, but also a little bit weird at the same time.
I didn't quite understand eBay sponsoring the con. I mean, I do in that, like, whatever, they sponsor things. But I was like, this is odd.
A lot of people would sell collector stuff through eBay, would they not?
I think that's what they're going for, is like, hey, you like bought a collector's thing, or you know, you're a nerd, you have collectibles, use eBay. And it's like, sure, but like, I think they already know about eBay.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to be told about eBay. I think they get it. So yeah, that was a little weird. But anyways, hopefully they catch these guys. I mean, hopefully they get the product back, because given that it's I assume these cards are from older sets, because they always are at conventions. You know, they're not really replaceable. Wizards isn't printing anymore. So hopefully they get them back unopened and undamaged. But, you know, at least it was, from what I could tell, sealed product from a company that was planning to sell them. So the insurance money kind of works out.
Yeah.
Still, don't fucking steal people's stuff.
Especially at a big convention where you're more than likely on camera.
Yeah, definitely don't wear your own fucking merch while you do it.
Yeah, wear somebody else's.
Let's get some Dice to Pixel shirt and go rob a bank. I almost made Sarah spew coffee. Yeah. What else was on the list?
Well, the Microsoft announced that the Xbox 360 store is shutting down on July 29th, 2024. You'll no longer be able to purchase any games, DLC on the console, and the Microsoft Movies and TV app will stop working altogether. But you can still, like, anything you buy beforehand, you can still download from the 360, so you don't have to worry about not being able to re-download and play your stuff. And a lot of the backwards compatible stuff will work on future systems, and any purchases you've made on the Movies and TV app will work on later systems.
Yes, and one other thing that I saw that I believe is accurate is games that have compatible versions with later systems will not be going away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of obvious, but they explicitly
Well,
said
no,
it.
because I was going to ask about that explicitly too, because there's a lot of Game Pass games that are 360, and I'm like, oh, I still want to play that game.
In theory, only things that were 360 only are getting removed. If they're compatible with later hardware, they'll still be available, even though they're a 360 game.
Yeah. And there's a list of compatible 360 games on the Microsoft website that you can play on your Series XS or Xbox One.
Yeah.
So
the real question that I have is, why the 29th? It's a Monday. It's not even like a Friday or anything. I'm like, what?
So people can binge play over the weekend.
Well, they're still going to be able to download stuff.
I don't know.
Like, wouldn't it make more sense to end it on either the Friday or just on the 31st? Like, 29th is so random. Microsoft, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Or even a Tuesday, because that's usually when new movies and stuff is released.
Sure. It's just weird that they decided to end it randomly on a Monday, not the end of the month, near the end of the month, but not on the end of the month.
Maybe what they did is they took a calendar and they put it on a dartboard. Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's more weird that it's like fine now. Like in 2024 is when they're finally closing the 360 store. Like the PS3 store was closed in 2021.
But Sony are bastards.
That's right.
Yes. That's
and Microsoft are less.
We have not called Sony bastards in so many episodes.
We should see. We could have had a sign behind us or something. It's been this many days since we bitched or fucking yelled at Sony, and now it would be reset.
Yeah, I don't actually care that Sony turned down the PS3 stuff,
No.
but longer's better.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I guess the 360 kind of had like a bigger installed user base.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the weird one to me, to an extent, is why turn it down at all? Like, I guess the answer is they have some new update coming out for the store that makes it that like completely makes it incompatible, and they just don't want to.
The headache anymore.
What we're gonna find out later is that there's some blockbuster game coming out on the 30th, and they don't want to deal with the old store when it comes out.
Probably.
You heard it here first, folks. Unnamed blockbuster video game.
No,
being
it'll
released.
be Blockbuster, the video game.
Okay,
Yeah.
so on Twitter/X, whatever your choice is,
Twix.
yeah,
Twix. Wow.
Blockbuster, the Blockbuster tweet account, which has been great for a while because they just like they've been throwing shade and posting random shit. The last little while, they've been posting pictures of these people in Blockbuster mobile t-shirts at different places around the world. And I'm like, is Blockbuster coming back? Are we getting Blockbuster again? I want it. Let's go.
There's still the one that's like up in.
Yeah, it's an
Where
empty.
yeah.
There's actually still an active one somewhere down
There
the
is.
States.
It's
It's
in, like-
not part of the. It's like called Blockbuster, but it's not at the same time. And
Yeah.
then there's still the
Less
empty.
Boxster.
Exactly. And then there's the empty Blockbuster on the west side of Owen Sound still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Blockbuster sold all of their assets and everything else and filed for bankruptcy. But as far as I know, the actual corporation, I think, is still like I think it was moved to inactive, but I think it's able to resurrect if they want it to.
hmm
And I'm like, oh, if we're actually getting Blockbuster back, like, come on,
I mean,
on.
maybe they're trying to do the same thing like what Zellers has been doing.
Yeah.
Zellers is old school Walmart in Canada,
Yes.
only it doesn't really exist except for like one store.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all you people that aren't from Canada.
No, they opened a few. Or are they pop-up locations?
I think they're pop-up locations.
Yeah, they've been doing just enough to kind
Yeah.
of keep the brand recognition
Yeah,
going.
because there's one in
Um,
Cambridge.
Yeah. Zellers is like a
Kmart.
low grade. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kmart.
Kmart. Yeah.
Yeah, actually that's exactly right. Zellers is Kmart.
Yeah.
Because it's also red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like down to like almost
Well, it
complete.
was
Yeah.
it was red before Kmart was red because
Yeah.
Kmart used to be red and blue.
You know what I miss?
Yeah.
Complete non sequitur. I miss RadioShack. Like the old
Right.
RadioShack that you could actually go and buy like electronics stuff from.
I loved going
Actual
to Radio
components.
Shack.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I miss that.
Got a really good stereo there when I was a kid.
Back
This
in
is
my
you.
day-
This is you. You're the old fuck now.
Yeah, back in my day, we could go down to the mall and get a doodad. No, I miss that shit because sometimes I need like, I don't know, a component to make a circuit, and you just like you can't, right? You have to order it online. So
Because you can't even go to Best Buy because Best Buy.
Oh, they don't sell that kind of stuff.
No.
Like, oh, I need some resistors. Fuck you. Sayel near here does sell some of that stuff, but it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
But
You know what I miss? Bookstores that actually sold books.
you don't want just like throw pillows and blankets and mugs with stupid "Take Me Back" slogans on them.
No.
Then why do you look
Shop
at
at
them?
your local bookstore, friends.
Or start if you feel like going bankrupt, start a local bookstore.
Yeah, there you go.
What else was? Oh, there was the Transformers thing.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I'm actually.
Can we?
Is that
I think
that the one that looks like the Titanfall that everyone thought
Hey.
was a Titanfall preview?
what?
No. I'm talking about the
No.
board game.
Oh, the board game. Oh,
Sorry, what were you
I,
going to say?
well, I was gonna say because I think there's a decent discussion to be had there, and
Okay. All right.
about Oh, you know what? Fuck it. We got time.
yeah,
Let's
we
go
got
for
time.
it. Fuck it.
Okay.
so-
So first of all,
Yeah.
there's a Robo Rally. There's a Transformers version of Robo Rally coming out. Let's just do that part, and then maybe we'll save the second part of that discussion for later. But go ahead.
I think we can.
Whatever you want.
Well, no, because we started talking about it.
Yeah, okay.
Up
All right.
just before we started filming, but
Go for it.
I am a Transformers nut.
Yes.
I fucking
What?
yeah, I love Transformers. Like I just got a new Optimus Prime that it's basically a Volvo, like a Volvo truck, and it's a limited run. I just bought it. Great, love it. I love Transformers. Yay, go Transformers. I don't care about this board game.
Understood.
And it's all to do with what we were talking about, the licensing.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather see, um, I'd much rather see developers and designers come up with their own. I get it that sometimes you need to do license stuff in order to kind of gain the notoriety and the capital to do your own thing. But I would much rather see something like that than a board game based on Transformers or something.
Yeah. So back in the day, I think
Oh, fuck, here he goes again.
back in the day, I feel like there's some validity to what you're saying in terms of needing the money.
Mhm.
Back in the day, before Kickstarter, when we walked uphill both ways to school,
Twice
twice in the snow in
backwards.
summer, the best way to get funding for your board game was to try and sort out some sort of licensing deal with a product that they would foot the design bill, and in return they would get a bunch of money back. You would have to convince them that it was worthwhile and everything else. That hasn't been the case in years. Go to fucking Kickstarter. Like, the number of board games that get kickstarted successfully is off the fucking charts. Nobody needs to do brand deals for games anymore. And I don't understand why they do.
There was even that one that you spotted, the Batman one that you wanted, that you were gonna like grab for my birthday or something like that, and then it was just like no, because the shipping costs were ridiculous.
It was almost as
Crazy.
much as the game itself. I
Yeah.
think.
More, I think, almost. Yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit. So first of all, Chad, who is a Transformers fan,
Yes.
not interested in this game.
No.
Doesn't care. Me, who's mildly interested in Robo Rally, thinks this sounds really cool because it's Robo Rally, but they take advantage of the fact that there are Transformers.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like transform to like avoid and get around certain obstacles and everything else. So it like adds a layer of complexity to the game. Which kind of brings us to the point of like, who is the branding for? Because I'm interested not because of Transformers. Transformers fan doesn't give a shit that it's Transformers. Who's benefiting here?
Yeah, I feel like that's a very small overlap of people.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Like it's not. It doesn't exist, but it's small.
Yeah. Like,
Well-
I get like we're doing a Fortnite board game because, well, I don't really get it, but like whatever. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's at least it's a game.
Mhm.
But like Transformers and stuff, like that's not a game. There are Transformers games, but originally that's a show.
Well, yeah, and actually, it was a half-hour commercial for the toy line, but
Well, yeah, okay. Fair.
but the thing with like, is this going to be the gimmick for this game? Like, are the little pieces actually going to turn into robots? I mean, granted, it'd probably be like it's a robot.
My understanding is that's about right.
Yeah?
Is that
Okay.
it will transform, but it's probably going to be like a.
So yeah, gimmick, great, but for me, I would be more interested in seeing a Transformers video game.
Sure.
Just because being able to control that just with the touch of a button, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, and seeing it translate. I remember when,
Devastation.
yeah, Devastation's actually a good example. Transformers Devastation, when that came out, it looks kind of like it's in the style of the old G1 cartoons, so much so that they got a good majority of the original voice actors. You have Peter Cullen doing Optimus Prime, Frank Welker doing Megatron. I can't remember the fella that did Bumblebee, but he did the voice for Bumblebee in the old 80s series as well. And it looked like you were playing the G1 cartoon. It was nuts, and just transforming at will and ripping down streets. And
Mhm.
it was a really, really good game that had a really good story to it too, like Transformers wise. If you're a Transformers fan, and even if you're not, like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is what interests me more. Like, I don't really, and I actually think I remember I had like a Transformers board game in the 80s, and even that sucked. But it was more of like one of the big, like Milton Bradley or
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
Well, so incidentally, the other board game that was listed in the same article was there's a G.I. Joe themed game that's coming out. That's just an Axis and Allies game. And I'm like, again, tell me it's a G.I. Joe game. I don't give a fuck. Tell me it's an Axis and Allies game. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of like, I don't. get who this is for. I'm sure somebody somewhere has decided that this is a good and profitable idea.
It makes me think of all the versions of Monopoly there is.
Perfect example. I
Yeah.
don't give a shit about Star Wars Monopoly. How about just Monopoly? Like, fuck.
I mean, Monopoly is a
Catan?
boring game to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I feel the same about Catan, although I will say that Danielle forced me to buy Star Trek Catan. In fairness, we didn't own normal. If we had owned normal Catan, I would have said no. Because it's the same fucking game.
Yeah.
Clue's another one too.
I
Clue's
like-
another one that has like
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
tons of different versions of Clue.
On slightly off topic, very slightly, if you haven't played Clue in years for whatever, go play Clue. It's so fucking fun.
Mm.
It is.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Clue, all of those like childhood games have been like completely bastardized by branding. And
It
I
is.
don't
It
get
really has, because we were going through like an older retro like kids game
Yeah.
phase for a while there, and we really wanted Trouble because we played up with my parents all the time. We
Mhm.
could not find a regular version of Trouble easily, like just to pick it up in the store.
Yep.
It was Avengers Trouble, and it was a crappy board, and it was like
it
there was
was
this
shit.
whole other weird
What the
element with a
fuck?
second die in the dome, and we were like, this is crap. We like
Oh,
played half a
no.
game and we were just like, fuck
Yeah,
this.
it was
So
dog
bad.
shit. The board felt so cheap. Like even just the normal Trouble game, the newest versions that you can buy now.
Oh, yeah, they're crap.
It was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Like it's a piece of plastic and you put this overlay kind of, but the overlay's all bent to shit.
Yeah.
So like you can't really. We ended up finding the Trouble Classic on Amazon, which is the good version,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But
We
yeah,
paid a bit more for it, but like it's what we. It's
Mhm.
you could smack someone in the head and it would hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
and then just going back to Clue, I'm wondering when South Park's going to release the Harley Boys Clue.
I've got such a clue.
Got our agent Clue.
My clue is pointing up here.
Oh my god.
I would play that game, even though it wouldn't be Clue in any way, shape, or form. I would play
Speaking
that
of South Park
Uh-oh.
games,
Oh, yeah, they're doing another one, eh?
I'm not. Doesn't look good in 3D
So,
because it's not like the art style of the actual show.
no, yeah.
They've done it in 3D, and so it looks so early 2000s to
Yeah.
me. It looks ew.
You're absolutely right. I feel the same way. So, like, anytime, like, The Simpsons did, like, a 3D thing and everything, I'm like, this is shit. Why are you doing this? This is it.
I don't know what they didn't really release much details about it either, but it looks like it's just going to be like one of those 4-player kind of co-op,
Yeah.
and I mean, they came off of the Stick of Truth and the Fractured Butthole, which were both,
Phenomenal.
the Stick of Truth was better in my opinion.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
Fractured Butthole, I think they tried to add too much that kind of muddied it a bit.
Well, I think it fell into the trap of being too much like the first one, but
Mhm.
different enough that it wasn't a direct sequel. So
Yeah.
it was like there were things where you're like, you should have just left it the way it was, and other things that's like, nah, you could have just not added this.
hmm
That's always the danger with sequels. It's like you either want to keep them very, very similar, or you want to go fairly far apart. If you go too close, like I liked Fractured Butthole, it was fine. But there's definitely that feeling of like, I feel like you could have kept the mechanics the same and just done the new story and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Cat Quest 2 did a good job of this where they just added quality of life improvements,
Yeah.
basically.
And the
Like, it was-
co-op.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like overwhelmingly, it was like, this feels almost the same as the first one.
Mhm.
It's got a couple new things that are cool, but they're mostly optional.
Yep.
And a lot of quality of life improvements, but it's the same game with a new story, a
Mhm.
continued story
Mhm.
even.
Mhm.
I feel like you got to be careful when you're doing a sequel that you're not, because the way people work, people are broken. Like we're all assholes, even when we don't
Oh,
intend
yeah.
to be. And it'll always be like, I liked the original better.
Yeah.
Even if that's not fair, even though if the new one's actually better, you'll be like, no, I liked the original better.
Sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Spit.
No.
Go. Bitch. I recently played through all of the Mega Man games, the original Mega Man games, all 11 of them. And while 9 and 10 tried to go back to a very old school route, I do not see the appeal of them both, because I found 9, 10, and 11 to an extent to be more of a slog than the original 6 NES versions of Mega Man. Like
I've
the
never played
levels,
them.
yeah, the levels felt longer. They added just a bunch of fucking weird mechanics in each stage that I'm like, okay, you're just making this overlong now. Like
Right.
the whole appeal of a Mega Man game to me was like being able to like fly through it in like a half hour or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like quick game kind of shit.
They were like Sonic. You could
Yeah.
just blast through them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird. But in the original 6, you had like in Mega Man 3 when they introduced that you could slide, like that was the new mechanic. And
Yeah.
then in 4 you had like the charge gun. And then 5 didn't really introduce anything new, but 6 added that your little dog companion Rush could turn into either like a backpack so that you could fly,
hmm
or turn into like these like heavy fists so that you could break walls and stuff. And that was the only new thing that they announced in 6. Later ones in like the Super Nintendo one was just like a big graphical update, and it was, better graphics. The Mega Man 8 introduced the bolt system, which I fucking hate in a Mega Man game.
Chad's just so grumpy old Mega Man.
No, you're the grumpy old man.
Yeah. Give me my RadioShack. Yeah, I mean, I loved the original Mega Man, but I don't think I ever played past about 5.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the more things change.
Just lock me in a room with an NES and just, yeah, I'm happy.
Slip pizza pockets under the door.
Yeah, until I die in a week from sodium overload. Yeah,
Right on.
no, I tend to agree. But yeah, branding. Fuck off with the branding of video games.
Oh,
It-
and
it-
Or
board
board
games.
games.
Sorry, that's the one.
Yes.
Well, both.
Both.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, I just don't get who it's for.
Mhm.
I've never legitimately considered buying a game because of its brand. I have had my attention piqued, like the Stalker board game. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, cool. Like, I'll take a look. But in fairness, that was a video game, not like a TV show. But I've never bought one because of it. I've always, at best, I've been like, oh yeah, I'll check it out.
What about, so I have this Stardew Valley board game.
Yeah.
What about board gamifying video games?
It works better because at least it's a game.
Yeah.
But it depends on the game. Like, for instance, Valorant or Fortnite, the board game, I'm like, that's just fucking stupid. Like, who's that? You can't fucking board game a first person shooter. That's stupid.
Yes, it is.
Something like Stardew Valley.
Fardew Valley, yep.
I can see it. Like, in my head, I can immediately, like, okay, I know some of the mechanics that you could use for that. Even not knowing anything about the board game or anything else, I'm like, there's mechanics that would work. So I think that there's opening for that, which is why Stalker, I was like, okay, like, I'm curious, but like, it's a first person shooter, so it's a little weird. And ultimately the board game looked super cool. Separately, it honestly bore very little resemblance to I think that's the dishwasher you're hearing.
Oh,
Because
We
of the
could hear
headphones, because of the headphones,
everything.
we hear more background noise, which you won't hear because thanks filtering.
I thought you were pissing your pants, old man.
Well, that too. I've been doing that all day, son. But yeah, so like I didn't end up backing Stalker, even though I thought about it a couple times because it looked like a good game. But I had I didn't care that it was Stalker beyond the initial, like, oh, I like Stalker. Let's take a look. And it does look like a cool game. But they wanted too fucking much money. So,
Yep, that's fair.
well, and actually, it wasn't even the want too much money. It was, give us $200 with shipping and everything else, and we'll send you a board game sometime in the next decade. I was like, well,
Blech.
fuck
Blech.
that. Just let me buy things, damn it.
Yeah.
One more game I want to bring up before we finish up
Yeah.
here that I saw. I had to go grab some lunch, and I passed a toy store,
Oh,
and it was Simply Wonderful Toys. I was
Go
going to
into
the
fucking toy store.
Hey,
I
with
didn't
it,
go
man.
in. I walked past it.
let her live her whimsical life, you jackass. Go ahead, Sarah.
But out on the tables that they had outside, there was a board game that caught my eye called Red Rising, and I'm like, what the I have
Okay.
a book series. Like we Chad and I read this book series, so I was like, this can't be it. So I read the back of it. It is a board game based off of the Red Rising book series.
Did you buy it?
I did not. It
Oh.
sounded actually fairly interesting. But yeah, I was just like, this is bizarre. So I was planning on bringing it up to see if you guys would be interested in trying it. So
All right, Chad, you can go back to giving her a hard time now.
Brr, grumble, grumble, grumble. Toy store, grumble.
I
grumble.
will try any board game. Like the GI Joe board game sounds cool. The Transformer board game sounds cool. It's just for me, I'm like, I don't give a shit that they're those brands. I'm basing it on, and I'm so glad that Chad had the reaction that he did, because I'm like, here's a fan of Transformers that doesn't give a shit that it's Transformers, and here's a fan of the Robo Rally style game who doesn't give a shit that it's Transformers. It's like, who is this for? Who are you trying to sell this to?
Yeah.
It's just so weird. If you are like, let us know in the comments. I'd be curious to know. Have you bought games specifically because of the branding? Does it work, or are these people just wasting their money? Because I could believe that too. Like, companies just think it works and nobody gives a shit.
Yep.
I could see that. So,
Hell yeah.
but anyways, we're gonna wrap it up there. We're gonna be filming another one later tonight, or today, sometime today, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all the things. Anything? Any last words before I kill you all?
Live long and eat food.
Yeah. Let's eat some food.
Yeah.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Au revoir.